Good evening, everybody. Welcome to the Trinidad Humanity Campaign Political Party Public Meeting number 3. Give me 1 second, let me adjust my light. Much better. Yes, good afternoon, everyone. Thank you, everyone, for joining us. Again, we're hoping that the views start going up a little more, but we do thank everybody for taking the time out on this beautiful Sunday evening to join with us and hear what we're about, what we have to say, learn more about us as a political party and as a potential representative for you in your various electoral districts. So, Sunday evening, 6 p.m. Today, well, I guess I should start with a little bit of an introduction for those new viewers who would not have seen us before. We are the Trinidad Humanity Campaign political party. We're not a new party. I'm Marcus Ramkey-Soon. I am the political leader. I've contested the 2010 general election, and the party has contested 2015 and 2020 general election. And we happen to be the fourth largest party out of 19 contesting parties in the 2020 general election. So we've been around the block. Why you have not or may not have heard of us before? Well, we're not financed, and we have not accepted at least any funding from any entity. So we rely on our own resources, and as you may know or may not know, advertising is very expensive. Sometimes when you see these other parties, just to give you an idea, when you see a major television station, we have 3 in this country. When you see a major television station putting on a campaign, a public meeting of one of the large political parties, usually it's one of the 2 large political parties, and that broadcast goes on for an hour. What really is the cost of that broadcast is somewhere in the vicinity of, from what I remember when we checked for our own curiosity, that single broadcast is in the vicinity of about $100,000 plus, So, I mean, just to give you an idea, a single full page ad in the newspaper, not in the first few pages, right? Middle half or so, full page color ad in the newspaper for one day is around $55,000, 35 to 55,000, 35,000 black and white and 55,000 in color for one day. So when you turn the pages every day in the newspaper and you look on television and you see these large parties advertising, because it's not the large television stations choosing to put their broadcast on for free because they support them. That's not the case. These parties are paying for the airtime, and that's the type of cost we're looking at: $100,000 per broadcast, $35 to $55,000 per one day, one page ad in the newspapers. By the time it's all said and done, we actually have what was put forward by the media in 2010, which was the estimated campaign expenditures of the 2 large parties in 2010, which amounted to, if you all remember, just over $100 million for one party and $150 million for the other party. We have a cap on spending per candidate by law of $50,000, but we don't have a cap on spending on the party. So there's these loopholes that exist within the current law are taken advantage of by these parties, and that's the type of expenditure. We think at the Trinidad Humanity Campaign that if we had those type of resources, we wouldn't spend it on television advertisements and newspaper advertisements. I mean, talking $150 million, $100 million, right? We'd build a new health center or outfit all the health centers with accident and emergency access, let's say, or something, ambulances, do something that would benefit the country in some better way. And then use that as our advertise. Look what we did with the campaign finance and the money. Unfortunately, that's not the direction we see from the large parties, or the example, I should say, that we see from the large parties in this country. But we don't follow bad examples here at the THC. If someone sets a good example, they can expect us to follow it. but we don't set that. We don't set bad examples here at the THC or follow bad examples at the THC. So you won't find, this is leading up to let you know that you won't find us campaigning in the regular fashion that you see. When you see us, we will be walking around our various electoral districts in the coming weeks before the election. Now that we've established this first method of reaching you through the YouTube and through the technology, let's say, the next move is to start walking around and introducing ourselves in person to the various persons within the electoral districts or electorate. And, when you see us, don't expect a music truck to be behind us. Don't expect us to come bearing gifts of T-shirts and all these different things, flags and stickers and whatever else have you, right? Because as I'm saying, first of all, we don't have not accepted any campaign financing, and therefore we're not using monies towards that. And even if we had those resources to use, we would not be using those resources towards that type of campaigning. We don't believe in that type of campaigning here at the THC. I mean, look what happened in 2020, guys. We were at the beginning of a pandemic, which we now know lasted, the heavy part of it lasted almost all of 3 years. And, the larger parties chose to campaign in their regular fashion during this period. I was looking at some of my old posts today on Facebook from the 2020 general election, and I remember stating in our concession statement that, as I saw, that we were not pleased with the fact that these parties chose to. We don't call names and stuff, or we don't bring anyone down in our campaigning, but it is sad to see that this was the example set by those in authority at that time. That's not something that we would have chosen to do. It should have been done a lot differently. So when you see us come to your gate, and so we come in just as we are, all right? We only there to tell you who we are, what we're about, what we intend to do. And as I keep saying, how we intend to bring more dedicated representation to you, the electorate, and how we intend to bring more qualified and transparent management of our resources at the council level. I would pray that you hear us, listen to us at least, take in what we have to say, ask us some tough questions, grill us a little bit about what you think we could or could not do, and see what we're about. Take that opportunity. The next aspect of campaigning that I would look to speak about is that last night, after we finished our broadcast here, I happened to catch the end of a rally of one of the larger political parties on mainstream media, one of the 3 television networks, as I said, paid a lot for. And, I was a little bit, I don't know what's the word to use, but I was confused. I was amazed. I was a little bit shocked. I was dismayed. It's a lot of words. Because I heard the speaker identify issues within the communities and country and said, we will fix that. But one, didn't say how, and two, had a lot of time in the past to fix them. And then this rally ended with a popular calypsonian coming on stage and singing and basically starting what I assume would be, I don't know, half an hour of effect. People, I don't know if this is what you want as the electorate. I don't know if you want effect and a party to be able to give your vote to your representative, because I can guarantee you that at the Trinidad Humanity Campaign, you'll never hear that from us. We're not giving you a FET and a party. Not because we not want to spend the money behind it, because we do believe that is what politics should be about. We believe that people should be more serious in their effecting of political commitments, whether it be those that are representing or vying for representation, right? They should be using their platform to speak specifically to issues and specifically and detailed as to how they are going to address those issues. Shouldn't be that, there's a fete and a party in between each speaker, you're dancing and moving and whatnot. There's a time and place for everything. we as intelligent adults should know that there's a time and place for everything. And I don't believe that a political rally is the time and place for, and a public meeting is the time and place. You hear any music in my background, you see me starting this or ending this meeting with any kind of time and place for everything, right? Your representatives or prospective representatives should be able to answer your questions, tell you everything that, they intend to do and how they intend to fix the problems within the community, within the country, whatever it is, right? And not depend on entertaining you, because politics shouldn't be about entertainment. Again, serious issues. And you, the electorate, should be more serious and should realize at some level that these things are gimmicks to get your vote. And when you do lay your vote, what end up happening in the next number of years? Do you actually see the representation at the level of change in your community, the change that you want to see? Is the murder rate going down? So again, you're not going to see that level of campaigning from us at the THC. We continue to be, not going to be because we've done it since 2010. We continue to be a little more serious about politics, about the issues, understanding that these issues affect every single one of us as citizens in the country. And we continue to encourage you to listen to the various prospective representatives that are vying for your vote this election. Vote on issues, vote on those people who are giving you the actual answers and telling you how they actually intend to solve the problem. And when they do get elected, hold them to that promise. Take their number now, from now, have their cell number. So you'll be calling them off the line one time. I'm talking about cell numbers. Please do call us, and feel free to call us during this broadcast at 462-8870. And anytime after, if you want any information about us. That's 462-8870. I'm here to take your WhatsApp messages, take your calls. If you're calling directly, remember there's a 6-second delay. So say what you have to say and then say thank you. So I know that you've finished your statement, and I will do the same. And we'll have an easy time at it. So yeah, please listen to your representatives, and please vote, you the electorate, on issues. This party color, I belong to this party and I need to vote this way and that way, and I will split the vote. Where's the democracy in that statement? Where's the democracy in talking about splitting the vote? That only leads to the inevitable two-party system. Are we encouraging it? Yes, we're encouraging it by talking that way, by believing that if we vote for other representation that we'll split the vote. But I dare you, Trinidad and Tobago and our Burgesses especially, make a statement this local government election. You're not taking such a risk as you may take in a central government election, a general election, right? Whereby you could say, okay, well, if I don't vote this one party representative, the government to be formed will, cool. Let's take it down, and let's take it down to local government level now. We're talking about, within my corporation alone, Tinapuna Piako, right? There's 16 seats for councillors. We're contesting 2. What will we be able to do? The only thing we wouldn't be able to do, right, is put all the men, which is 4 extra votes on top of the 16 to make 20, right? And yes, if there's a project that comes to the councillors' attention and they have to vote on it, 2 votes out of 16 or out of 20 is not going to be the majority. So let's say a project comes along and we at the THC say we've identified a local contractor to do this project for $2 million. And the ruling party of councillors, meaning the party that has more councillors and wins the corporation, right, says, no. We have identified somebody that will do the job for $10 million. And we say, but wait. We have a company not us, we have a company. We've identified someone in the thing, right? It's just one type of example, because really the corporation should be doing most of the work. But there are projects, right? So within this area of projects now, but we identify somebody that have the same machinery, equipment, experience, qualifications, everything like that, and they're willing to do the same job for $2 million as opposed to 10. Shouldn't we vote on the man that say 2? Cool, let's take a vote, and they vote on the one that say 10. THC put in the vote to the man that say 2, and the rest of them put for 10, and the one that get 10 win. What's the difference, you ask? Well, we at the THC will be in there And we will be filming this. Now, if we are not allowed to film the actual meetings of the councillors, because that one I'm not 100% sure on, we will be filmed reporting exactly what happened, the minutes of the meeting, exact who, not who, but how many councillors voted on what, and what was voted on, and why the person get the for the 10 million get the contract instead of the 2, because these councillors voted such. And what is the goal of this? Because when these things go to the public, the people in charge will be encouraged to do the right thing. They will realize that the potential mismanagement and not getting real value for money, for the people's money, right? By giving contracts away to maybe friends and family, or people they know, or getting kickbacks. So we all know how it works, right? We need to stop that. We need to cut that in one time. As one or two councillors in that corporation, we could put all this public, show you everything that we see, and then those people will have no choice but to do the right thing, because they'll be embarrassed to do the right thing. Everything will be open air out in public. And better yet, as I keep saying, because our main aspect of our campaign here is that if we win, we will bring that level of transparency to you, the people. We will show you every day everything we do at our job, all the revenue, all the expenditures, all the contracts, all the project costs, all the papers that come before us, because councillors and corporations don't deal with national security, right? That's the only thing that the public should not be aware of. Everything else, the public should be allowed to be aware of. And that's something that we encourage. We put forward that if we do that, we would be able to encourage central government to do the same, because the question would then be, if we at the corporation level can bring this level of transparency to our electorate, why can't you at central government do the same thing, because we have the same technology? And you know what that would do, my friends, my fellow countrymen? That would cut most of the opportunities for corruption. And we would be a better country for it. We would have more of our finances and resources being used in the right way, properly managed, way more accountability than we've ever seen before. And that would be able to give us trust back in those that manage for us, right? I keep reminding, those that are elected manage for us, right? They are not the owners. They are not kings and queens or any level of royalty. We shouldn't be thinking back to colonial days anyway, as much as a lot of our laws are still from the colonial days. And we need to start looking at government for what it is, right? The management team that we, the owners of the country, have elected, right, every so often to manage for us. And if those managers don't do a good job, we shouldn't be hiring back the old manager thinking that, he learned a lesson and this time around he could do better. They're other people, they're new people, they're qualified people that are willing, that are dedicated, right, and are really, really trying to make a difference in our country. Look at us, see us. It's not just the THC. There's a number of, as I said, there were 19 contesting parties in the last general election. How many of you knew that? Right? Because it's not put forward in the media as much as it should be. That's something the media should be celebrating, right? But unfortunately, that's not the case in this day and age in the country. So we do what we can, and we'll continue to do what we can. Before I start going into the issues of what we believe we can do in our burgesses and within the country itself, I've started that with the transparency. I again invite you to call us at 462-8870. That number, you can reach us anytime, by the way, in or out of the broadcast. So if you see this video after the live airing and you're interested in getting to know a little more about us, call us anytime. This is a service job, right? If elected councillors, we intend to be there for you 24/7. We're not those take off our phone at 5 p.m., 6 p.m., whatever time the job finish. That job and this job therefore requires that level of service, right? If there's an emergency from any one of the residents, you should be able to reach your councillor, right? There shouldn't be a time you shouldn't be able to reach your councillor, unless you're counselling a meeting or something, and in which case the councillor should get back to you all right after. Yes, it's a lot of people for one person, but that is the job. A lot of people in this country try celebrate people just for doing their job. And that's another idea that we don't like here at the THC. If you have a job and you do exceptionally well, yes, cool, people can celebrate you. But if you're just doing your job, what you're supposed to do, what your mandate is, why the celebration? Because people before you weren't doing their job well? That kind of thinking need to stop, and we need to demand better from our representation on every level, right? Local governance, central governance, and I do see it. I look at. I mean, we're a country that doesn't. Unfortunately, we don't stand up enough for our rights, and it's sad because other countries, more developed countries, according to what is developed and developing, right? But according to world standards, have people that stand for their rights. Let's look at France. Do you see that there was a number of huge protests recently? Some in March of this year and some more recently. Did anybody catch this in the international news that tens of thousands of people in France rise up? They don't get together and organize. They come out on the streets, right? They know what they're coming to do. Now, not encouraging any level of negative protest or violent protest anywhere, but people get together and they stand for what they believe in. And one of the issues in France was the president there being able to make a law without consultation from the rest of the government, and made it right for the retirement age being changed back in March. And most recently, a 17-year-old was shot and killed by the police, and it caused massive protests. Look at the stuff we face in this country. We don't stand up for anything and say, "Well, listen, we demand better." And when it's time to demand better, which is the election day, to make a statement and say, "Well, look, we want better, so we put in somebody different," or "We fed up of you not listening to us. You've had all the time in the world to make changes. When? Why must you get a chance again to do what?" We don't do it. We decide, oh, we split and vote from one or the other, and we go back to this two-party system. Right? Well, I challenge you today, here from the THC, to make a statement as a local government election. Make a statement and vote those representatives outside of the two large parties. I'm not saying vote THC alone, Yes, of course, vote THC. We believe we could do the job better than everybody else. Otherwise, we wouldn't have our own political party and stand here before you and put ourselves in the public, right? To continue trying and to consistently be there to try for representation and remain undaunted in doing so, right? We wouldn't do that if we didn't believe we could do a good job. But in all fairness, I encourage you to listen to all your representatives and hear what they have to say. Listen to if they're really standing on issues, or if they're just telling you, if they're mama guying, this word, we're Trinidadians, come on, right? Trinbagonians, we're going to take mama guy, we're going to take chain up, right? Or we're going to vote on issues. And I challenge you to vote. And on that note, I want to inform you, you do not need a valid ID card to vote in this local government election, right? So long as you are on the registered list of electors, meaning you've had an ID card already in the past, right? You can vote. You actually don't even need to have the physical ID card with you, right? So please don't let those things be a hindrance from you exercising your civic right, and I would say civic duty, to go out there and make a statement that you want something different, that you want to see positive change in your community. Make that statement in this local government election, and who knows, maybe central government will hear you, right? And start doing things a little bit different, because that is what is needed. We need the wheels to start moving in a more positive fashion, something to reduce the crime. We've spoken about that in depth yesterday, right? But we have plans for both the country and the community level for crime, which we'll potentially discuss a little bit further into this broadcast. So I challenge you, go out there and elect representatives who are speaking on the issues, who are speaking about solutions to the issues, and who you think will best represent you in terms of issues and solutions and your community. Not color, not party, and certainly not fete and entertainment. There's a time and place for everything. Let's do the right thing. So I think what I'd like to discuss a little bit with you now is a few things from my electoral district. I'm contesting the Valsayn St. Joseph seat, council seat, this election. And it's not a large area. Most of the electoral district for councillors are smaller areas. I think I'm pretty well known within this electoral district, especially, it's only a few areas bordered by the southern main road and the highway on one end, and the Caroni River going up to the Medical Associates Cayman Road and Cayman Extension up into St. Joseph. So I do hope that everyone remembers me, right, and remembers that I've been active within not really the community but the country in terms of doing my part in civil service and social service. I work a lot with the various orphanages and homeless, right? I'm pretty well known. Well, was pretty well known with the Riverside people. I don't like that we converted that institution and that place into moving them out as opposed to rehabilitating it for better use for that purpose. I would have preferred to see that instead, but until elected into leadership, I won't have that say. Um, Within my electoral district, one of the areas is Bamboo Settlement number 3, and small area. Right, there's a couple, just two main entrances really. One off the highway opposite Nestle, and one coming in from the parallel side of the Solomon Hochai. And there's a huge food industry there, as most of you well know. There is an evening and night industry for food every night. Weekends it goes a lot later, and there's a number of vendors centralized in two or three locations. When I say locations, I mean properties, that private properties that conduct their business there, hopefully quite successfully. And what I notice is that in as much as that area is used for uh, dedicated thoroughfare of traffic, meaning if you come out of the Grand Bazaar shopping mall and you have to go east or west, there's only a couple ways to do so. So depending on the direction you're going, you can either take the flyover, or you can go through Bamboo Settlement and come out in the other entrance exit on the highway and the Treasury Route. If there's such a massive thoroughfare of cars passing through there, and the local government, local governance recognizes this, how come the councillor has never addressed the roads? What about the roads? Okay, so just after the food area, the main part of the food area that I'm talking about, that's just outside the Grand Bazaar entrance to the parallel to the Solomon Hochoi, there is left turn if you're heading south to come back into the other entrance into Bamboo Settlement number 3. And for the last 2 years, 3, there's been a worsening uh, hole, patch of holes situation right at that junction. Right, it's caused a lot of damage to residents' vehicles and people visiting the community for the food businesses, and it's caused a lot of traffic and congestion because people have to slow down very much so to pass over it, thereby blocking everyone behind them. The other aspect is the other entrance exit. That piece of road has also been in a state with a number of potholes for the last few years. Last night, I noticed someone patched it. I wonder if it's because of local government election coming up. So I hope that the residents of Bamboo Settlement number 3 realizes that, you know, if they're seeing changes to the problems that they've had for the last number of years being addressed in the next month, from now on until the next month, please see that as just people bamboozling you to get your vote, right? And please vote on someone who would actually maintain and stay consistent in their word towards doing the right thing for the communities. Uh, I'm sad to say that this has been the case around there. I'm also thinking, and I'll find out a lot more when I do my walkabout and speak to the residents in that community. But I'm also wondering how the community feels about the food businesses that occupy these 3 private properties alongside this roadway, because having done business there myself, actually, I think in 2010 and 11, if I'm not mistaken, that was before it was property renting and stuff. It was more public do your thing. um, the there was we were paying rent, just to let you know. It just wasn't what it is today, right? Because you're not supposed to sell on the side of the road. The sanitation and stuff was a lot worse, and there was no real level of sanitation. You had to provide your own and so. And what I had noticed back then, as I continue to notice today, is that the hours of operation, especially on Fridays and Saturdays, go straight into 4 o'clock in the morning. And a lot of these businesses play loud music. A lot of the clients coming in play loud music. Is rowdiness and drunkenness a little bit because people are patronizing the businesses after they finish parties and so forth. And I don't know how the residents feel about that. I'm curious because it's a very small area, so sometimes the music from the front might echo straight down to the back. um, I'm wondering if they're interested in a change, because I think if we utilize a public property, which the corporation will be responsible for, and pave it and convert it where people could park, so we don't have the parking on the road as we do now, thereby obstructing traffic, obstructing police vehicles in case of emergencies, anything like this, and causing accidents, by the way, right? If they would be more interested in having those businesses set up in, within the area itself. I'm thinking in this plot just on the Churchill Roosevelt, right in front of Grand Bazaar north entrance. I have to find out if it is public land, but if it is, I think it'll be an ideal spot. Put parking for everyone and allow all the businesses to come in there at a much lower rent than they would pay privately, but more than government and corporations are custom charging. I identified yesterday that usually within public rental spaces, people pay like $300 to $1,000 a year, whereas in a private space, they pay between $3,000 to $15,000 a month. I think if they have a good professional space and they are accustomed paying X amount of money, we could say X divided by 3 and charge them a third of what they was paying, thereby giving them more profit as a business and thereby giving us as the corporation more revenue to work with. I would think that's one of the simple solutions that we can effect in bamboo settlement number 3. If you guys are hearing me through looking at this video after the live, and so please identify that to me when you see us walking through, or call us anytime 462-8870. Yesterday I spoke a lot towards a few major issues that affect not just the community but the country. I spoke towards crime, we spoke towards food security, education, and transparency. And I think I need to just, again, for viewers who would view this video and not have seen the last 2, I think I needed to touch a little bit again, just repeat. And I did say yesterday I might be repeating some issues, but again, it's for the new viewers until we build up that following. That, everyone that I speak to everywhere, within our Burgesses and outside, the first issue and problem that they identify that they want to see some solutions for is crime. And we've reached a state in the country where a minimum of one person is murdered per day. And it's like some weird, dystopian movie on TV, right? Whereby a population has accepted at some level that one person would be taken a day at random. And it's sad to see, because this is not, I've heard some people in authority say in the past, not recently, but in the past, let them kill out themselves. And a lot, most of it is gang warfare, and, people that in things and doing things. So that's not the case, right? It reaches home to people, especially in home invasions, right? And unfortunately, these home invasions don't involve just the aspect of robbery, but they involve violence and worse, death, loss of life. And it puts our country on the map internationally as one of the most dangerous countries in the world. And the authority of the day and of the past doesn't seem to be doing anything to make any significant difference. And it's not out of hand. It's not in a place, in our opinion, where it can't be fixed, and where we don't believe in that, right? And we don't believe in this treating crime as a public health issue either, right? I don't ascribe to that, right? Health is health, right? And yeah, health represents the physical and social and emotional and environmental, even health of a nation, right? So health is not just, oh, I'm healthy as a person. Understand that, right? But treating crime as a public health issue before treating crime for what it is, which is crime, and putting the right policy in place and enforcing such policy in the right way, and encouraging the protective services to do the right thing in the right way, right? In a number of ways, by training, by direction, by a number of ways, is not going to, unless we do those things, we're not going to go anywhere. We're going to remain in the same place and the same position with crime. What can THC do? What can we at the Trinidad Humanity Campaign bring? Well, country-wise, I have to let you know because it is on a smaller scale for community. Country-wise, what we've put forward for the last number of general elections, not just one, is the because we've seen an example put forward in 2009. So in 2010, 2015, and 2020, we put this forward in our manifesto. We put this publicly through the media when we've spoken, that the way we think we can have the most immediate positive results on the reduction of serious crimes in our country is to use a method that was already used, tried, tested, and proven in Trinidad and Tobago with results. What's that, you may ask? All right. 2009 Summit of Americas, Fifth Summit of Americas, held down here. Right. In the week leading up to the summit and during the days of the summit, the then police commissioner and the then government worked together to put a plan in place whereby they worked with the regiment and the police, and they had those bodies work together. Regiment officers and police officers were placed in vehicles, marked vehicles, especially at every major intersection of the east-west corridor from Arima come down, right, come west, and the entrances and exits to most of those areas that are known for higher levels of crime or criminal activity. And you know what happened? The newspaper of the day reported a massive reduction. I'm just quoting what the newspaper reported. The newspaper of the day reported a massive reduction in serious crimes and the murder rate and everything during the week leading up to the summit and the days of the summit. Therefore, a method was tried, tested, and proven to work, bring substantial results right here already in Trinidad and Tobago. Why then can't we put that strategy back in place? If that strategy does not require more physical resources, it doesn't require more vehicles, it doesn't require more officers, it doesn't require more increase of salaries, it doesn't require anything except reorganization of the existing resources, right? And reorganization plans, right? To put, again, officers and with the regiment in those places, because look, we have about 6,000 police officers, 4,000 active, and just about 2,000 reserve. And I think we have 7,000 military personnel, the army, right, which are only there for emergency situations. And we are not a natural disaster suffering country, right? They are on constant payroll. I think we should utilize their service, especially if we know that we are in a country with such a high level of serious crime, right? So putting them together, reorganizing the strategy, putting them in vehicles on the major intersections of the east-west corridor, putting them at the entrances and exits to the major hotspots, right, and to the major areas of crime. It would have the same result that it did in 2009. We would have more resources now in terms of vehicles and officers than we did in 2009. It's just a matter of reorganization of the strategy, and we beg those in authority, i.e. Commissioner of Police, right? We beg you, because we've presented this in writing and verbally to the Commissioner of Police already, to try it. What can it hurt to try for a couple of weeks if it's not requiring any more fiscal resources? It's just requiring reorganization of your existing resources. Try it. It's worked already in Trinidad. Try it, right? You would become, I don't like to identify people, but the existing commissioner would become so celebrated if they tried this method and it proved worthwhile and they were able to reduce the murder rate even in those 2 weeks by less than one a day. Maybe in 14 days, instead of we see 14 plus, we could see 10 and less. That alone would be cause for celebration in this country. Why? Why aren't these strategies being employed? Well, this is what we would encourage on a general election level. And even if elected as a councillor, we would then have more of an authoritative position. We wouldn't have to be responding to any major party because we don't have to engage in caucus voting and ask the party what we can say and what we can't say. We are the party. We are our own party. We will be able to speak on the merit of things, right? As opposed to what the party decides we can talk about. We will be able to identify these issues, use our position to speak with the commissioner, to get meetings, to push this in the public eye, right? To get central government to do this countrywide. What will we do at the community level in response to crime? we will take this down a little bit, right? And we will, as counselors, speak to the supervisors within the police station. So let me put it to you this way. Let's take an example. I'm representing or aim to represent the electoral district of Val St. Joseph. And the St. Joseph police station is responsible for that community, right? Why can't we take some of the resources from the corporation, especially that we now supposedly going to have an increase of the allocation through the collection of the residential property taxes, which I'm not in full agreement of, right? But because coming out of a pandemic, we're still in a poor economic state in the country, right? Most of the people who don't have really don't have, and now we're going to ask people to pay property taxes. Now, hold on a little bit, hold it off. We survive and we okay. Better management of the existing resources will take us far. We don't need these extra allocations necessarily to move. But if we're going to get the extra allocation at the corporation level, can't we use those allocations specifically and differently? Can't we use those allocations to say, okay, again, back to the I'm aimed to represent Valsi and St. Joseph. Why don't we take some, buy cameras, proper cameras, put them up in the various areas that we need to within the electoral district? Because as I identified earlier, it's a very small area, only comprising of a few communities, right? And pay the money to set up a small operations center at the St. Joseph police station. Don't wait for police to wait till they get an allocation some 10 years down the line to do this, right? Set it up for them. Couple TV screens, couple monitors that all they have to do is get the personnel to do the monitoring, do the recording itself, change out the hard drives, and so when they need to do it. And what would that do? The same thing. It will show the criminal elements that, one, there's less chance for them to get away with committing a criminal activity within these areas because, one, they can be identified by the camera system, their vehicles, their movements, the different things, where they come out from, where they're going back in, right? Just like what we do in England, just like what's done in England, everywhere is really monitored, right? Little, very, very few blind spots. So you deter the opportunity for criminal activity, the bringing down, the diminishing of the escape routes, right? Because now everything is monitored, and the increase of the response time, right? So when a call comes in, right, you can, before the call comes in, you'll be able to see movement and the screens. And if no one is directly monitoring, even at that time, you'd have the recording for after a criminal activity is committed. Again, putting towards the fact of deterring crime generally within these communities. So putting the resources from the corporation level to set up camera systems within the communities and set up an operation center at the police station, I think is an excellent move that can be done and should be done, and is one of the things we at the Trinidad Humanity Campaign promised to do. Another thing, we can communicate with the supervisors of that station, right, and work with them to work out particular patrol routes, and patrol times. Maybe some areas should be patrolled more than some, but all areas should be patrolled, right? Again, bringing down the response time if a call comes in that criminal activity is happening somewhere, and again, deterring the criminal element from engaging in crime in our communities because they know they're being watched, they could be attended to faster, right, and caught easier, right, and go this direction. There should be no question in our minds that we should be looking towards these things, and all the councillors in all the constituents in all the electoral districts should be looking at effecting these plans. Because again, if you elect us into the position of councillors in the electoral districts we hope to represent, and we are able to successively bring these types of commitments, I don't like the word promises, commitments to you, right, then we can bring the question through the public and directly to central government that if we were able to utilize our already stretched resources and cover our electoral district to this point where we've set up the cameras and the operation center and the patrols and all that, why doesn't central government then effect this in the rest of the country? And we will then force positive change the right way by leading by example, because that is the right way. Someone has to do it. We at the THC intend to do it. So that is the main aspect and the main plan that we have for crime, and the plan to address crime in the Burgesses that we represent. And I would love to hear your feedback on it. Oh, now look at the chat and I realize we have a question about what different approach would THC take towards the crime situation. I just answered it. I hope the viewer was able to hear the whole thing, but it's on record, so you'll be able to play it back again. I think that will drastically, I mean, just to let you all know, I am currently a PhD student in criminology and public safety. Why? Because if I'm vying at the general election level as the leader of a party, if I'm vying for your vote to become the leader of the country one day, the leader of the country always has to sit as the head of the national security body, right? The council. Shouldn't that person know a little bit about crime and security? Hopefully, as soon as I finish this, which should be next year, 2024, I'm going to engage in a PhD in food science and food security, because we as a nation, those are the two top issues, in my opinion, crime and food security. And in addition to addressing those issues, if elected, right, prior to becoming qualified by academic degree in it, I seek to be properly educated in those areas towards my goal in representation of the electorate, representation of my country at the council level and at the government level, central government, when that time comes. So we will address these things from a research perspective. One of the reasons for taking this view on the plans that we would put forward for crime and make sure that it comes to fruition is due to the research in criminology, and that shows that these methods do, in every area that has been tested, reduce serious crimes. And as I said earlier, the method that we had for the country with increasing presence and visibility in certain areas, as was done before, has been done before, and was therefore a tried and tested method already in Trinidad. Tried, tested, proven. So that would be the biggest change that we have for crime. I noticed that it's already 10 to 7. So before I go into another point, I invite you once again. You're welcome to call us anytime during this broadcast at 462-8870. Let us know your thoughts, your comments. Please grill us on the serious issues and question us, find out what we can really do. Ask us about specific issues within your community and within the electoral district, and your neighborhoods even. And let me be able to address for you how we as a party would effect change to those issues if given the opportunity. Again, the live is being recorded and will be available for everyone to view on the Facebook profile, Trinidad Humanity Campaign, and on this YouTube channel at Trinidad Humanity Campaign. And you all are welcome to call anytime. I make myself available as the leader of the party, representing the other candidates that we have, to take your calls anytime. Right? Because this is the job. The job is service. Your representatives should be accessible to you anytime. That is the job, in my opinion. Right? I know a lot of people disagree and say, "Oh, you're going to a job. You first start when you start. You finish when you finish." Not this job. This is service to the people of Trinidad and Tobago, service to the rest of the citizens, service to the electoral districts that we represent. So in that level of service, it is my full belief that we as the representatives should be available to you 24/7. Right? If we miss a call because we're on a call, should at least send you a message that we see the missed call, something. Right? Should never be too busy to do those things unless we're busy actually doing something in the community, in which case we should still respond to you afterwards. Right? So, and I think that, again, whether you choose to elect us or not in this election, right, you should demand that of your representatives that you elect, that you should have their contact from way before the election, right, and be able to get them anytime. You should not be calling the office to hear the person not there and you don't ever hear from them again and all this stuff. That we need just to, we really, really need as a people to stop accepting less than we deserve as a people. And at the governance level, we as a people deserve proper representation. We deserve dedicated representation, and we deserve, in my opinion, what was the word the one of the leaders of the large parties used the other day? He said 2023 is going to be way better than the last 7 years. That was the quote. Way better. Well, I intend to bring way better representation and management of our resources through our candidates at the Trinidad Humanity Campaign. Right? We have better, more qualified management. Right? The persons that are campaigning now within the things are educated persons. Right? They are qualified persons to be able to do the job. which is management of resources. And the people that I found, at least, to represent this party so far, and this is why it is so few, have integrity, right? And I believe in them in terms of the level of integrity, because we stand heavily against corruption. We don't believe that we should accept it as a country. We don't believe that we should accept it as people, that it's so ingrained and it must happen. And no, 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 no. With me, everybody hand going and be like sandpaper. They have no greasing of nobody hand, right? Because that is not the way governance is supposed to be run. Governance is supposed to be serious. Representation is supposed to be serious. And you're in charge of public resources. You, me, the representative, is supposed to be serious. More fetting and partying and oh, vote for us, we having a good time. None of that, right? We're not having a good time. We're having a serious time, right? Vote for those people who will represent you on the issues and on solutions to those issues. Everybody can identify the issues, you know. How many of them identifying detailed solutions as to how they're going to solve it? And how many of them, you know, in the election, we hear a lot, we as a small party hear a lot about track record. What is your track record? What have you done? Well, I can tell you that we, the few of us, I can tell you for me, I've done quite a lot of social work, as I've said earlier in this video, through the orphanages, through with the adult homeless people at Riverside, right? When I had my soup, I talked about Grand Bazaar earlier and the bamboo settlement number 3, and I mentioned that I did a business down there in 2010 and 11. That was a soup business, right? And we did 2 types of soups, and what I would do on a daily basis, is we would make like twice more than we know we could sell, right? Because soup have a lot of profit. Anyhow you take it, we making profit on the pot. Enough to pay the salaries, enough for me to have some profit, yes, sure, right? And we would go every morning to Riverside Plaza from between 4 and 5 a.m., right? And we would give out food by bowls. The people down there told me it had some other soup people from some other area that used to come and feed them, and they used to just drop the bucket of soup and expect them to pick it up with their hand and drink it. We spent any money on the spoons and the bowls and giving everybody and refilling and doing everything that. And we did it every day for at least a year and change. Very well known for that, passing through Arangues and anywhere that we see homeless people and making sure that they have a meal, you know. So I've done the necessary social work, and I intend to bring that level of track record to where we're going. But you talk about track record. Those that have been elected in the past, present and past, what is their track record? What have they actually effected to better the communities, to better the country? Now, our campaigning is not about bringing down anybody, taking away from anything that positive that any group or any individual has done, right? That's not our level of campaigning, right? I'm not saying they didn't do any job, you know. Of course, they did a job, right? We think we can do better, right? Because we think we can bring better value for the money. We don't think that we should be paying companies $80 million a mile to pave the road when we have the second largest pitch reserve in the world, right? You know that our pitch asphalt from our pitch lake has been used in the building of over 25%, 1/4 of the world's roads. Where's the money from it? Where's the transparency in the accounting for it? Did you hear what I said? 1/4 of the world's roads, the world, the globe, the planet, Earth, all 200 and something countries, right, were built using asphalt from Trinidad and Tobago. Where's the resources that came from that? Where's the transparency in the management? So what is the track record of those that have come before us? What is the track record of your counselor that represented you for the last number of years? Right? Bamboo settlement number 3. One of my areas, one of the communities in my electoral district. Why the road that I spoke about earlier hasn't been fixed in the last 3 years? What has the representative truly done? What is their track record? So why put someone who has a proven track record of only effecting some level of change before an election? Remember 2020 in Diego Martin? Cars were parked on a road and the road was repaved around the cars. I mean, this is the car and the road was repaved around the car. So quick they move Couldn't give anybody advance warning. We come in to pave the roads and because election coming, right? So let's do what we need to do now. How long are we going to take that bamboozling and mama guy? Make a statement. In closing, I would say to you, Trinidad and Tobago, and those especially within, not just our electoral districts and our burgesses, because I encourage you to make a statement this local government election 2023. Show those in central government and those who have been before in central government that you are not standing for anything less than real change, that you're willing to put somebody new in there if they're not doing the job. And maybe, just maybe, central government will get the message, right? And make better on their promises before the next general election. Let us use us to encourage those in authority to do the right thing through the transparency that we will bring, videotaping every part of the job, morning to evening, every day, every contract, every expenditure, every revenue, every project cost. You will see what we see if you elect us. This is the biggest aspect that I think we can do, right, in terms of transparency. And we think that you, the electorate, deserves it. We, the electorate, deserve it. Because if we are electing people to represent, we should be able to see what they are doing exactly. Every receipt, every invoice should be scanned and copied and put on our website. So if you want to see, you could see. This is what we promised to do. This is what we will do. So once more, before I close, I challenge you. Make a statement this local government election 2023. Cast your vote for representatives that are talking to you about solving the issues, not just identifying the issues, and are giving you the detailed solutions as to how they intend to solve these issues. And better yet, if those before you made promises, that's where I'll use the word promises because we don't like it. We make commitments or we give our word. But those who have made promises, ask them why they haven't held up their promises for the longest while, right? Both large parties, because both of them had opportunities. And if you realize at some point that it's just a mama guy and they're not going to do anything for you after the electoral process is over, as per usual, make a statement and put new people in there. There's a ton of choices, right? Look around, hear what those representatives have to say. Vote on issues, Trinidad and Tobago. Stop voting on party color. Stop voting on tribal politics. Get out of the two-party system mentality, right? And look towards better governance. Look towards making Trinidad and Tobago a place where you and your children deserve to live safely, healthy. This is what we want to bring: a better standard and a better quality of life and a better standard of living. This is what we intend to bring. Thank you very much for your time this evening. You are welcome to call us anytime, 462-8870. We look forward to seeing you as we walk through our bridges starting this week during the week. And we look forward to seeing you next week right here, same THC time, same THC channel, right, from 6 to 7 p.m., Friday, Saturday, and Sunday, as we continue every Friday, Saturday, and Sunday from 6 to 7 p.m. live on our YouTube channel. We hope that the audience would grow. We hope that you would subscribe to our channel if you like what you're hearing. I hope that you would share our videos and encourage more people to listen to what we have to say at the least, right? And then, so long as what this will do is inform them. And we believe that people should be better informed before casting their votes. This is all that we're trying to do, and we'll continue to try. We'll never be depressed, we'll never be daunted, and we'll never give up on you, right? Like some have done in the past. We will stay committed to trying to make this country a better country, elected or not. Thank you for your time, Trinidad and Tobago. Have a great Sunday night. Have a great week ahead of you. Stay safe, stay blessed. Have a good one.